Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala, thumma amma ba'd. To proceed. Today, inshallah, we will have the chapter on al-talbis, which is confusion or confusing, because it's a verbal noun, it's a transitive verbal noun. It means someone confusing someone. So the verbal noun here, al-talbis, from labbasa, which is to confuse or to confound. And then in the chapter of fiqh, we will try to finish the rest of the chapter on al-qasm wa nushuz, which is division and contempt. And we will try, inshallah, to start the chapter on al-khula, which is separation initiated by the woman. So let's start with the talbis. Imam al-Harawi rahimahullah, in his book Manaazil As-Saa'ireen, Stations of the Travelers, in the station 95 or chapter 95, under the title of al-talbis, which is confusing, started by a verse like usual, and he's started by Allah saying, وَلَلَبَسْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ مَا يَلْبِسُونَ قال الله عز وجل وَلَلَبَسْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ مَا يَلْبِسُونَ. Allah the Almighty said, and we would have certainly made confused to them that which they make confused, or what they make confused. So a Shaykh here will talk about confusing. It is basically cover up, to confuse, to confound, to basically to cover the realities with indicants that may confuse the people. And he will, one of the types of confusion that he will talk about is Allah confusing the creation. So he wanted to start by this verse to tell you that Allah himself said that he would confuse the creation. And the concept of Allah confusing the creation or confounding the creation is a problematic concept. It is a problematic concept because that will hurt the epistemic value of the Sharia, because people will say that yes, this is what Allah said, because ultimately people disagree over transmission. We don't know if this hadith comes from the Prophet ﷺ, and then if we can trace it back to the Prophet ﷺ, they will argue with you about context. And then if we establish the context, some certainly will go as far as saying, well, but the Prophet ﷺ is not God, and he was also a human being. And then if it is a verse in the Quran, they'll argue about meaning. If the meaning is established, then they have no argument whatsoever. But if we say that Allah could or would confuse the people or confound the people, certainly Imam al-Harawi and the people of uprightness like him would have not meant that, but it could lead to a big problem. It could hurt the authority of the Sharia, the authority of the revelation, the authority of the Quran, because then we can have alternative views that are not really sanctioned by the Quran. And whenever the proofs from the Quran are presented against this view, people could say that this is just for the public, for the masses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is confusing them, or is causing them, to be confounded. So it could be problematic. Now, Allah does not intend to confuse anyone, and what this verse meant to basically expand the context a little bit of this verse, the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala said, وَلَلَبَسْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ مَا يَلْبِسُونَ, and we would have certainly made confused to them what they make confused. If you expand the context a little bit, it is in Surah Al-An'am, right before this, وقالوا لولا أنزل عليه ملك ولو أنزلنا ملكا ولو أنزلنا ملكا لقضي الأمر ثم لا ينظرون ولو جعلناه ملكا لجعلناه رجلا وللبسنا عليهم ما يلبسون. So they said, had there been an angel who was sent to him, and ولو أنزلنا ملكا لقضي الأمر ثم لا ينظرون, and had we sent an angel, the matter would have been settled, would have been decided. They would have not been reprieved. They would have not been given extension, because that's it. Once we send the angels, that's it. It's the day of judgment. Because if we send the angels, then there is no test anymore. You know, people, all the people are having difficulty just understanding that this life is a test. You know, the people who have difficulty with the problem of evil, the people who want angels to be sent to them as messengers, well, that basically goes against the very purpose of this life. This is a test. And if we were to send the angels, then we will, we will bring you back, and it will be the hereafter, because the test will be over. وَلَوْ أَنزَلْنَا مَلَكًا لَقُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ ثُمَّ لَا يُنظَرُونَ وَلَوْ جَعَلْنَاهُ مَلَكًا لَجَعَلْنَاهُ رَجُلًا وَلَلَبَسْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ مَا يَلْبِسُونَ. And had we made him an angel, we would have made him in the form of a man. And we would have caused them to be confused in that which they confused themselves. So we would have caused them confusion as they had wanted confusion for themselves. Because if we were to send an angel in their angelical form, they can't handle this. They don't have the capacity to receive a message through an angel in their angelical form. So we would have to send the angel to them in a human form. And for several reasons, for their lack of capacity to basically communicate with the world of the unseen, and including the angels, and also for many reasons. The human angel will be a role model, will be easier for them to talk to them, it will be anas lahum, it will be more comfortable for them, and more intimate relationship with the human messengers. So there are many reasons why messengers were why humans were sent as messengers, not angels. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying we would have not sent the angel in an angelical form because they don't have the capacity to communicate with angels in their angelical form. And if we were to send the angel in a human form, it would have been the same confusion. You know, they would have also been confused about the nature of this messenger. So it is a conditional statement. It is not like Allah seeks or desires to confuse His creatures. It is a conditional statement. They are asking for an angelical messenger. Allah is telling them that this defeats the purpose of this creation, of the life of this world. So we will not send angelical messengers to you, because if we were one, that would be the end of it, the end of the life of this world. 2, you will not be able to communicate with the angelical messenger, and we would have had to send him in a human form, and then it would have caused you the confusion that you are causing yourselves. So it is a conditional statement. It does not mean that Allah does confuse people. And it is really nice, because certainly you will have to be critical here, and your loyalty to the Quran and Sunnah should be supreme and should come first. We love our mashayikh, we love our tradition, and as we said before, we always embrace it lovingly. And that is why Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, when he started this, he said, started his commentary in Manaazil As-Saa'irīn on this particular station. He said what? The very beginning, he said, Shaykh al-Islami habibun ilayna wal-haqqu ahabbu ilayna min. Shaykh al-Islam, which is Imam al-Harawi, who died in 481 after Hijrah. Imam al-Harawi, Shaykh al-Islam, habibun ilayna is beloved to us, wal-haqqu ahabbu ilayna minhu. And the truth is more beloved to us. and the truth is more beloved to us. That's basically the way that's the most beautiful way you engage in this type of discourse, transgenerational discourse among the scholars. Shaykh al-Islam habibun ilayna wal-haqqu ahabbu ilayna minhu. And you apply this to anyone other than the Prophet ﷺ, because there will be no conflict between the Prophet and al-haq, the truth. So, but for anyone else, short of the Prophet ﷺ, you say, Umar radiallahu anhu habibun ilayna wal-haqqu ahabbu ilayna min. You know, Umar is beloved to us, and the truth is more beloved to us. And certainly the truth in the sense of the real, or the truth in the sense of Allah, certainly Allah is more beloved to us than the Prophet ﷺ. But the truth in the sense of the truth, reality, there will be never a conflict between the Prophet ﷺ and that truth. So let us see here what the Shaykh wants to say, because there are a lot of valid meanings, and that is, each one of these stations, there are a lot of valid meanings that we can benefit from, even if we disagree with some of the concepts. That should never prevent us from benefiting from the many valid concepts. Mostly, it's like 98%, 98+% valid concepts. Even here in this chapter, we can basically provide an alternative interpretation of the Shaykh's statements that would still be compliant, that would still be within the bounds, within the hudud, within the limits of the Quran and the Sunnah. So how do we do this? This is the work that we should be doing here. And certainly staying humble also, and understanding that between us and the Shaykh there may be many light years in piety and in knowledge. So the Shaykh says, التلبيس تورية بشاهد معار عن موجود قائم وهو اسم لثلاثة معان. التلبيس, which is confusing, is to cover an extant being with a borrowed indicant, and it is of three meanings. Cover an extant being, that is the noumena, realities, extramental realities, ontological realities, the reality, the truth realities out there, regardless of your perception. That is it is always the divide between the noumena and phenomena. Phenomena are the objects of your senses. Noumena are the realities out there, whether or not your senses can apprehend them. Whether or not your senses can apprehend them. The phenomena are only the objects of your senses. But the noumena are the realities, whether or not your senses can apprehend them, or your intellect can apprehend them. So talbis is to cover an extant being with a borrowed indicant, and it is of three meanings. أولها تلبيس الحق بالكون على أهل التفرقة، وهو تعليقه الكوائن بالأسباب والأماكن والأحايين، وتعليقه المعارف بالوسائط والقضايا بالحجج والأحكام بالعلل والانتقام بالجنايات والمثوبة بالطاعات، وأخفى الرضا والسخط اللذين يوجبان الفصل والوصل ويظهران الشقاوة والسعادة. Okay. So the first is the real confusing the people of dispersion. The people of dispersion are the people who are distracted by the phenomena. These are different from the people of Jam' union, who are focused on the one cause of all the phenomena. The phenomena, the diverse, multiple diverse phenomena around us, all the things and the events that are around us, distract us, confuse us, and we think that there is multiplicity until we figure out, and there is multiplicity, but if we pause, stop here, and don't ascend beyond that multiplicity to basically realize the oneness, unity of the source, the origin, the cause, the ultimate effector, the maker, the creator, God, then we are people of tafriqa. We are distracted by the multiplicity of phenomena and things around us. So the Shaykh is saying the first level of talbis is the real confusing the people of dispersion by the universe and all of the universal beings and events. And that's by attaching the extant events and things to the causes, places and times. So when he attaches cutting to the sharpness of the knife, burning to fire, he's attaching these things. They are coincidental, according to the Shaykh. That's where he's coming from. There is no relationship whatsoever, causal relationship between fire and burning. The real attached burning to fire to confuse the people so that they think that fire burns, and they would not capture the reality behind this, which is that only God is capable of anything. Only God is capable of any effect, or is the only effector. So he says, and that is by attaching the extant events and things to the causes, places, and times, and his attaching the realizations to the means, and the facts to the proofs, and the rulings to the effective causes, and the retribution to the offenses, and the reward to the acts of obedience. Because all of this, there is no causal relationship between them. And he will tell you why. Because everything was predetermined. The people of Sa'ada are predetermined to be Su'ada. The people of Shaqawa are predetermined to be Ashqiya. Everything is predetermined. And he said he hid the pleasure and anger. أخفى الرضا والسخط اللذين يجيبان الفصل والوصل, that warrant detachment and connection. ويظهران الشقاوة والسعادة, and that bring to fruition suffering and happiness. So it is, retribution has nothing to do with the offenses. Punishment has nothing to do with the offenses. Reward has nothing to do with obedience. It is all predetermined. It is his pleasure and displeasure that will come to fruition in the form of punishment and reward. Okay. So having said that, he's saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is covering the noumena with phenomena that are confusing, that may make you think that there are these relationships and there is none. You're just confused. When you see the knife cut, when you see, when the water quenches your thirst, and the water did not do anything. It's God. Well, keep in mind that according to the stronger position among Ahl Sunnah, and the position that we really need to propagate and we really need to endorse, because otherwise people will be indifferent to causes, will be indifferent to asbab, and that the consequences that we have seen in our ummah have been huge, enormous. The correct position is that there is these causes have quwwa, potency, inculcated into them that brings about their effects. At the same time, Ahl Sunnah believe that Allah has complete creation, ownership, and control of the cause and the effect and the causal relationship. Ongoing, all the time. So he is not only in control, but they are his creation, both the cause, the effect, and the causal relationship are his creation, and he has ongoing creation, ownership, and control of the cause, the effect, and the causal relationship between them. But the cause has potency, has quwwah in it, inculcated in it, that brings about the effect. So the universal laws have to be respected, and we have to be engaging with the causes all the time, because this is how we have been instructed to engage with the causes all the time. This does not compromise our reliance on Allah or our trust in Allah. This is only a manifestation of obedience to Allah, because so if someone is hungry and refrains from eating until they die, they are liable in the sight of God. They could say, hunger does not end, food does not end hunger. Food does not do anything, because ultimately Allah is the doer, maker, ultimate effector. But if they do this and they die, they starve to death, they are liable in the sight of God. Are they or not? They are liable in the sight of God. They would have killed themselves. So in this sense, we are, our taking precautions, making provisions, engaging with the causes is but an act of obedience. That's it. Okay. So then someone may say, in defense of the Shaykh also, someone may say, but why are the realities, the noumena, not more manifest than they are? Why are so many people misguided? Because he hid those realities. It seems that a lot of people are unable to apprehend them. So isn't this his doing? And wouldn't this vindicate the Shaykh's statements here, or the Shaykh's position? That it is true that many people are misguided. It is true that those realities are not particularly obvious. Even the reality of Islam, how often do you argue with people? Are there people who actually apostatize? Yes, there are. Did they grow up Muslim? Yes, they did. And sometimes they are confused. They're not necessarily walking away from Islam because they're just tired of being Muslim. No, they are misguided. They are confused. And some of the people also that are not Muslim, why are they not seeing it? Why are they not seeing it? Some of the people who don't believe in the existence of God, not all of them do this just out of mere sort of rebellion against organized religion. Some of them are not seeing it. So why is it subtle? Or why is it not more manifest and not more apparent? And why are there many distracting phenomena? There is certainly distraction around us. Is this talbis? No, it is not talbis. It is part and parcel of what this life is about. It is a test. You just have to deal with it like this. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. He who created life and death to test you, and see who's better in action, deeds or action. So that's the nature of it. And in order for it to be a test, yes, some of the realities need to be covered so that you discover them, so that you look for them, so that you dig a little bit to, unearth them. That is what it is. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. And those who strive for our cause, we shall guide them to our path. Which means what? some effort is required. Some effort is required. The realities are like the treasures. They're not going to be there on the surface of earth for you to trip over them and to sort of be compelling knowledge, like which is the ilm al-daruri. You're compelled to accept it. One is half of two, compelled to accept it. So the realities, if the realities are made like this, that would not be a test anymore. So there has to be some effort invested. That's it. But Allah does not seek to confuse us. In fact, Allah, these realities are not buried too deep where you cannot really extract them or unearth them. They are within your capacity. You just require some effort and some sincerity. Some sincerity and some effort. You need to be heedful of your ending, death, and you need to work a little bit to discover discover more about your next life and what is awaiting you in your next life. And you do this with sincerity, and you will be able to discover those realities. But Allah wants everything to be clear. يا أيها الناس قد جاءكم برهان من ربكم وأنزلنا إليكم نورا مبينا. Surah An-Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O people, there had come to you clear proofs from your Lord. Burhan, clear proof from your Lord. And that is the Prophet ﷺ himself is the Burhan. وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكُمْ نُورًا مُبِينًا. And we have sent to you what? نُورًا مُبِينًا. Clear light. This mubin is all over the Quran. Is all over. يا أهل الكتاب قد جاءكم رسولنا يبين لكم من سورة المائدة يا أهل الكتاب قد جاءكم رسولنا يبين لكم كثيرا مما كنتم تخفون من الكتاب ويعفو عن كثير قد جاءكم من الله نور وكتاب مبين. The people of the book, our messenger had come to you to make manifest or to reveal to you much of what you used to conceal of the scriptures and overlook much. قَدْ جَاءَكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ نُورٌ وَكِتَابٌ مُبِينٌ. There had come to you from Allah, nur, light, وَكِتَابٌ مُبِينٌ, and clear book. The light here is the Prophet ﷺ. And there can be certainly different explanations. But one of the explanations is that the light here is the Prophet ﷺ. There had come to you light and kitabun mubin, clear book. So nur mubin, kitab mubin, balagh mubin, and it is actually a requirement of the Prophet ﷺ to communicate, to deliver, to relay balagh mubin, clear notification. It's in Surah Al-Ma'idah also. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ وَاحْذَرُوا فَإِن تَوَلَّيْتُمْ فَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا عَلَى رَسُولِنَا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ. And obey Allah and obey the messenger and be warned. فَإِن تَوَلَّيْتُمْ, if you turn away, then know that أَنَّمَا عَلَى رَسُولِنَا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ, that what is required of our messenger is clear notification or clear communication. So it is a requirement, this ibana, this clarity is a requirement. And the messenger himself was described as Rasul Mubin. بل متعت هؤلاء وآباءهم حتى جاءهم الحق ورسول مبين in Surah Al-Zukhruf. I have given enjoyment to those and to their fathers or ancestors until there had come to them al-haqq, the truth, wa rasulun mubin, and a clear messenger, a messenger who is clear, a messenger who is clear. And in Surah Al-Dukhan as well, أَنَّ لَهُمُ الذِّكْرَ وَقَدْ جَاءَهُمْ رَسُولٌ مُبِينٌ. And so it is this idea of Nur Mubin, Balagh Mubin, Kitab Mubin, Rasul Mubin, is often, so often mentioned in the Quran. So what Allah wants is clarity. And what Allah provided for us is clarity, and he did not intend confusion for us. However, some of the realities have been made somewhat subtle so that we put the effort to discover them, to unearth them, because they are treasures. They will need a little bit of effort, a little bit of sincerity, and a little bit of effort so that you could discover them. This is just part of the test. This is an essential element of this life being a test. And if you are unhappy with this, there is not much that we can do to you. If you do not accept that life being a test in the first place, like, what is it then? If it is quite obvious that it is a test. Otherwise, if you think that it's completely meaningless, then that's your own fantasy. And you will come to discover one day that it was not. I think they asked the Shaykh one time, one of the Mashaykh in Egypt, they asked him, and I think it was also Shaykh Ahmad Didat, Allah yarhamu. They asked him, what would you feel when you die and discover that there is no hereafter? So he said, well, I will not feel anything, but if I felt anything, it's certainly not as bad as what you will feel when you die and discover that there is. But anyway, so moving on, then the Shaykh will talk about other types of talbis. So how do we understand what the Shaykh said? It is not Allah confusing anyone. It is just that Allah is basically making those realities require some effort to be discovered. That's it. But Allah gave us the prescription to discover them, sent us the messengers and gave us the prescription and invited us to to discover those realities. Then the Shaykh said, وَالتَّلْبِيسُ الثَّانِي تَلْبِيسُ أَهْلِ الْغَيْرَةِ عَلَى الْأَوْقَاتِ بِإِخْفَائِهَا وعلى الكرامات بكتمانها والتلبيس بالمكاسب والأسباب وتعليق الظواهر بالشواهد والمكاسب تلبيسا على العيون الكليلة والعقول العليلة مع تصحيح التحقيق عقدا وسلوكا ومعاينة. وهذه الطائفة رحمة من الله على أهل التفرقة والأسباب على أهل التفرقة والأسباب في ملابستهم. The second confusion is when the people of ghayra, protectiveness, cover up the times of good deeds and the karamat, supernatural gifts, by concealing them, and they're confusing others by engaging with earnings and causes and the attachment of phenomena to the indicants and triggers to confuse the feeble eyes and flawed intellects while perfecting their ascertainment in belief and practice. And this group is a mercy from Allah for the people of dispersion and causes when they mingle with them. Okay, so the Shaykh is saying that these people, and certainly all of these meanings are accurate and fine, but it depends on how you understand them. Like, you could understand them in a way that's completely fine. So the second confusion is when the people of ghayra, protectiveness, cover up the times of good deeds. So when they do that's basically trying to be secretive about your ibadah and about your good deeds and trying to cover up your good deeds. The Prophet ﷺ said, مَنْ اسْتَطَاعَ مِنْكُمْ أَنْ تَكُونَ لَهُ خَبِيئَةٌ مِنْ عَمَلٍ صَالِحٍ فَلْيَفْعَلْ. Whoever can hide his good deeds so that, keep it for the hereafter. You don't have to get the reward immediately here. Just keep it, save it for the reward of the hereafter. Then let him do that. So then, and he said, and the karamat, supernatural gifts, by concealing them. So they also hide their karamat, supernatural gifts. If they receive any supernatural gifts from Allah, they hide them. Unless there is basically a higher purpose in revealing them, a higher purpose in revealing them. We have seen how Imam Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, and when they were going to confront the Tatars, he told them that it has been written, inscribed in the preserved tablet that you would win. When he kept on telling them, you would win this battle, to encourage them to strengthen their resolve and so on, because you know how Muslims were completely overwhelmed, psychologically defeated, emotionally defeated by the force and also the cruelty of the Tatars. And so he wanted to encourage them to fight back, and so he told them that you will win. They said to him, say inshallah. He said, you will win. Say inshallah. Say you will win. Say inshallah. He said, inshallah tahqiqan la ta'liqan. Which means that I am saying inshallah, not that there is any contingency here, but there is certainty. And then they asked, they just were baffled by his, behavior. And then he said to them that it is inscribed in the preserved tablet that you will win. They went on and they won that battle, and he was, part of the cavalry in that battle. But here, this may be a disclosure. I can't understand it otherwise. That this may be a disclosure that he felt it was warranted to share it with people. But you share it only if there is a higher benefit. The default is that you conceal it. You share it only if there is a much higher benefit that you deem to warrant this revelation. So then the Shaykh said, by concealing them and they're confusing others, concealing the karamat and confusing others by engaging with earnings and causes. By engaging with earnings and causes. Keep in mind that the karamat, you're never revealing them to earn credibility, because that is not a way to prove credibility. Credibility is by consistency with the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and the tradition. Credibility is not proven by any supernatural phenomena. Otherwise, we will be in danger, because those supernatural phenomena, you've seen how people of different religious backgrounds even can manifest some of these supernatural phenomena, because it's spiritual labor, it's spiritual refinement, mental exercise can make people have special powers. So it is never to earn credibility. Only credibility in this deen is basically earned through consistency. Consistency in your teaching, consistency in your conduct with the Quran and the Sunnah and the tradition, according to the tradition, particularly the understanding of the first community. And the attachment of phenomena to the end. And the attachment of phenomena to the indications and triggers to confuse the feeble eyes and flawed intellects. The feeble eyes and flawed intellects that will actually stop there and think that this is it, that there is nothing beyond matter, that the material explanation is sufficient. The fire burns, full stop. Certainly, no one of Ahl Sunnah ever said that. We are saying that Allah created this power, potency in the fire to burn, but He is the creator, ongoing creator, ongoing, all the time, creator of the cause, the effect, and the causal relationship. And then he said, while perfecting their ascertainment and belief and practice. Their ascertainment and belief and practice that Allah is in control over all things. And this group is a mercy from Allah for the people of dispersion or tafriqa and causes and asbab when they mingle with them. They look pretty much like them, despite their great sublime interiors, their exterior is pretty much like everybody else. So that makes it easier for people to mingle with them. And they're normal people. They're not mutakallifin. They're just normal people. They mix with people and speak with them at their level. They speak, as Zayd ibn Thabit said, whenever we talked with the Prophet ﷺ, he talked with us about everything. And, the dunya and our weapons, he would talk to us, engage with us in any discussion. Then the Shaykh said, وَالتَّلْبِيسُ الثَّالِثُ تَلْبِيسُ أَهْلِ التَّمَكُّنِ عَلَى الْعَالَمِ تَرَحُّمًا عَلَيْهِمْ بِمُلَابَسَةِ الْأَسْبَابِ وَتَوْسِيعًا عَلى الْعَالَمِ لَا لِأَنفُسِهِمْ وهذه درجة الأنبياء ثم هي للأئمة الربانيين الصادرين عن وادي الجمع المشيرين عن عينه. The third confusion is the people of establishment, التمكن, confusing the people out of mercy for them by engaging with the causes and to bring ease and facility to the people, not to themselves. And this is the degree of the prophets. And it is for the godly imams who come from the Valley of Union. They come to sit with us, to spend time with us, so that they point us back to the Valley of Union and point to its essence. So when they are around us, they're just there to point to the Valley of Union. The Valley of Union is when you recognize the oneness of the source. The unity and oneness of the source, the creator, the maker, the effector, the controller, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, all the distractions and the multiplicity of events and phenomena and beings around you will never distract you. But as we said, it is the perfect formula. عقلها وتوكل. Tie your camel and rely on Allah. There is no conflict whatsoever. The epic example of the mixing of tawakkul and making provisions and akhd bil asbab, engaging with the causes in general, is the hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ. How the planning, the execution, look at this. Everything, nothing was left for chance. Everything was planned very well, executed with perfection. Yes, sometimes they will get to the cave and they will be right there. And that is when you say, Allahu ma'ana. مَا ظَنُّكَ بِاثْنَيْنِ اللَّهُ ثَالِثُهُمَا. What do you think of two people? Allah is their third. So the reliance is always there, but engaging with the causes does not compromise that reliance whatsoever. قولوا قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.